Okay, welcome back for another video. Today I'm going to talk about retailer analysis, top sellers versus slow sellers, and this concept of convergence and divergence, which are concepts I just made up after looking at the game and analyzing it. So let's get started real quick. Again, we'll go back to this remaining prize list for the state of Illinois and how valuable this is to help you figure out how to play the game. So in the top sellers versus slow sellers, let's look at this new game. It's been out for 2 weeks. This is their indication that it's been 2 weeks. It's a new game, another indicator right there. And surprisingly, within the first 2 weeks, the first top prize of $500,000 is already gone. So what that tells me is that was sold through a top reseller, because the top resellers are going to churn these tickets really quick. And in this case, it happened to fall into, it wouldn't surprise me if it was a grocery store, or if it was 7-Eleven, like we talked about in another video. Now, versus let's take a look at this other game, $1 Million Payday. Now, this has been in the market for a year, and it still hasn't sold its second top prize. So if you do the math on this, like we've done before, there's about 18% of the remaining tickets in the market. That's just an approximate number based on the statistics of how the game is played. 18% of the tickets remain, but there's still 2/3 of the top prizes that are out there. That tells me this is in a slow selling retailer. It's stuck somewhere in the system is what I call it. This is where you wouldn't want to go to your grocery stores to try to buy that game. So if you have some slow, like a tobacco shop or a vape shop or a small liquor store that doesn't get a lot of business, that's where you want to go to play and find that ticket. My guess, it's sitting there somewhere like that, or a very slow retailer in a small town somewhere in the state. So the way we look for that is this idea of convergence versus divergence. And here's a little example of a chart of what I call divergence. Sorry. So in this game, as you see, statistically, the top prize, these top prizes here, are coming down together very nicely, just as you would expect in the game. But as you can see, in the beginning of the game, in the first month or two, or month and a half, the top prize was just sitting there somewhere. And it obviously wasn't in a fast-moving reseller, because it would have been sold right away with the rest of these. So this told me that this is in a slow-moving retailer. It turns out this was the winning ticket when it was finally bought. Turns out it was in a vape shop down in or out in Macomb, Illinois, which is a fairly small town. So that's in a slow retailer, just as I would suspect. Now the next ticket sold pretty quick after the first one was sold. So we got down to 50% of the tickets. We caught up to the rest of the group. We were pretty close with 42% of the remaining tickets and 50%. This would be acceptable, and we would think, okay, there's another one coming into the marketplace. But here we go again. We're selling through these, and the third ticket, which would be 75% or 25% of the remaining tickets. And here, as of last week, we're down to about 18 to 20% of the remaining tickets. But there again, it's still at 50%. Another game where you would see more of a convergence of the winners, the selling of the top prizes. This is more typical. As you can see, this top prize sold very quickly. It sold ahead of the other prizes, but all the other prizes caught up. So we go back to this. This is the $500,000 taxes pay game. There's still 2 of the top prizes. That means that third winning prize is somewhere in the system, another slow-moving retailer. So that's the idea of convergence versus divergence, and why you don't always want to go to a fast-moving retailer. Sometimes you want to find an out-of-the-way retailer and buy your tickets. And that's it for now. Thank you.